The next one is interesting. The U.S. suggests diplomacy with the Houthis as the bombing campaign has failed. So Tim Lenderking, who's President Biden's envoy for Yemen, said the U.S. wants a diplomatic solution with the Houthis as its bombing campaign has failed to deter the Yemeni group and has only escalated the situation in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. Lenderking said, quote, "My hope is that we can find diplomatic off-ramps," end quote. Wouldn't it have been nice if they thought of that in the first place? He suggested that the U.S. could reverse its recent decision to redesignate the Houthis as specially designated global terrorists, which imposed new sanctions that are blocking a peace deal between the Houthis and Saudi Arabia. Lenderking said the U.S. is looking to, quote, "find ways to de-escalate and allow us to pull back, eventually the designation, and, of course, to end the military strikes on Houthi military capability," end quote. So the Houthis have been clear. The diplomatic solution is an end to the genocidal campaign in Gaza. Lenderking has previously acknowledged that he believes the Houthis would be true to their word and would stop the Red Sea attacks if there was a ceasefire in Gaza. He just said this recently. So, he knows how to end these attacks. Since Biden, I summarized the strikes, the one that I just went over. And U.S. Central Command said on Wednesday that there was more strikes in Yemen, so they're continuing to bomb Yemen. And the Houthis, who, again, are officially known as Ansar Allah, they're falsely called rebels all the time in Western media, the Houthi rebels. But they've controlled Sana'a, the Yemeni capital, since 2014, and they govern the area of Yemen where most people live, where 70 to 80% of Yemenis live. They govern what most of the territory that used to be North Yemen before the country, North and South Yemen, became one country. In 1990, I believe, is when that happened. And of course, the U.S. backed a brutal war, Saudi-UAE war against the Houthis, that killed at least 377,000 people, according to the UN estimates, which are considered to be low. And that's more than half of those people were children who died of starvation and disease. I mean, it's just a brutal, on par with what's happening in Gaza. And now the U.S. has just been bombing the country, and it's impacting aid in Yemen and all sorts of things like that.
You had mentioned that you reject the idea that this is in response to the war in Gaza, or that this is somehow trying to help the people of Gaza. But wouldn't bringing an end to that conflict also bring an end to the attacks on the commercial ships?
I believe it would. I believe that the work that the United States is now doing very actively, Tony Blinken, 7 or 8 visits to the region since October 7th, others, myself, the work that everybody is doing to de-escalate in Gaza, to promote that ceasefire, to release hostages, is very critical to a number of other regional crises, but certainly this problem in the Red Sea, I think, will de-escalate. The Houthis have committed to de-escalate when there is a ceasefire in Gaza. We have other actors telling us that the Houthis will do so. We need to drive to that point. That's where we need to go.